Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dr. Amir.
Pastor R. Dallas Green. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, and welcome to another episode of That Settles the Issue. So let's start with the question, Pastor R. What's the issue?
Well, this is a quite easy one, Dr. Amir. This is about cholesterol. You know, in the 1950s, the medical community started to speak out against cholesterol.
Yes.
Cholesterol was associated with increased risk for heart disease and stroke. So Americans were told, I was told, growing up in the 50s and 60s, to avoid cholesterol. You could eat the white of the egg, but not the yolk. And you could have breakfast, but not bacon. And you could have a lunch, but not cheeseburger, because cheeseburgers were associated with heart attacks. The mindset we grew up with was cholesterol is bad. So it seems as if what Americans did to avoid having cholesterol was we started eating more carbs and sugars. Much of Americans then started drinking things like Cokes and Pepsis with high fructose syrup in them.
That's right.
And snack foods with highly processed foods. So we decided that instead of eating butter, what we really should eat is margarine with trans fats in it. And so we began to change, and these sugar and processed foods seem to have some deleterious effects as well, namely inflammation.
Yes.
So the question before us is the real problem cholesterol, or is the real issue inflammation? What do you think, Dr. Amir?
When it comes to heart disease, I firmly believe it is inflammation. So, whenever you ask someone, what's cholesterol? What is it? The closest answer I typically get is, it's fat that floats around in your blood. And that is not the truth. The truth is cholesterol is the building block for every cell in your body. Now, every cell, if you remember your high school biology, every cell has a membrane. The membrane is the outside. It's like the shell of the egg, right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of biologists say, and there might be some controversy to this, but a lot of biologists say the cell membrane is more important than the cell nucleus, because the membrane is what brings in information from the outside, allows in things like nutrients, and excretes things that are bad for us. So that membrane is important. Now, the membrane, if you remember your biology class, is a lipid bilayer, right? You have the fat molecule with the triglyceride chains on each side, and they come together. And so that's important. Now, anytime any cell in your body is damaged, your body needs cholesterol to repair that cell. So if you hit me with a bat right here, and I end up with a big giant bruise, my cholesterol level will go up, because cholesterol is going to be needed to repair all those cells that were damaged.
So let's say the arteries, the walls of your artery have become damaged.
Yes.
And now there's cholesterol sent from the body to repair that damage.
Yes.
And so the cholesterol is really sent to sort of be a Band-Aid or a help to repair what's happening in that artery wall.
Yes.
But then there's plaque that forms around
Correct.
it. So cholesterol seems to be at the scene of the crime, but not the criminal.
Exactly. Here's the thing. If I walk past a dumpster and I saw a bunch of rats and I see a lot of dirt, smelly stuff, I wouldn't think that the rats created the dumpster just because they're present. They're there, but it doesn't mean they did it. Just like if you see vultures, they didn't kill the carcass. The carcass is why the vultures showed up. Now, when you look at the molecular structure of cholesterol, cholesterol is made up of carbon and hydrogen, oxygen, and so on. It's chains of triglycerides. So that molecular structure is nearly identical to vitamin D. So when your skin gets hit by UV rays from the sun, it converts cholesterol to vitamin D. So a lot of times when your cholesterol is too low, your vitamin D levels will also be too low.
So to be healthy, we need to have enough cholesterol to convert into vitamin D.
Correct.
For the skin.
Oh yeah. It's actually been shown through research it's more dangerous for your cholesterol level to be below 160 than to be above 260.
So our doctors seem to indicate that cholesterol is bad, but then we discovered that there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. There's HDL, healthy cholesterol, and then LDL, lousy cholesterol. What is your opinion about good and bad cholesterol?
Okay, you're not going to like this, and what I say is controversial, but I don't believe there's such thing as bad cholesterol. just like there's no such thing as good cholesterol. What did God say? To don't call anything I created evil or unclean, right? So anyways, I don't like to call anything my body creates unclean or bad. So the reason they call them bad cholesterol is because the LDL, the lower density lipids, float around in your blood. The HDL, which they call the good cholesterol, goes and finds the low density ones and brings them back to the liver. Now you go, oh great, it's pulling the fat out of my blood. Yeah, but the only reason it's bringing it back to the liver is so your liver can make more cholesterol. It recycles it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the taxi. The good cholesterol is the taxi. It goes and brings them in, and the liver processes it and then sends it back out. And the reason they're out there is because they're out there to make those cells. Lower density lipids are high octane fuel. So during times of stress, have you ever worried about something?
Sure.
Have you ever had traumatic events in your life, which we talked about last time? You know, the things that really scare us, worry us, make us nervous, require cortisol level to go up, adrenaline to go up, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. All these hormones, guess what? The precursor to all of those is cholesterol. Without cholesterol, you don't make those hormones. Those steroidal hormones can only exist if you have cholesterol in your body. So that's what the low-density lipids go out and do. Your body uses them to produce those things so we can get through those stressful times.
So our medical community is telling us to take eat a low-fat diet or a non-fat diet. What do you think about that, Dr. Mir?
Well, it's not healthy. And let's just look at the data. Beginning in the early 1980s, do you guys remember the rice cake? The famous rice cake. They said,
cakes.
That's right. Like, these things are healthy. You can eat all you want. And did heart disease decline or did it increase?
Increase.
Did obesity decline or increase? If you look at those numbers, the minute our society went fat-free, heart disease grew, obesity increased. Cutting fat out of our diet is not the answer. What you said earlier, inflammation, that's the answer. Because if your arteries are inflamed, the cholesterol, which is a sticky substance, sticks to the sides and narrows that. Now, there is research done by Dr. Dean Ornish where you can actually reduce the plaquing of your arteries, reduce the cholesterol that are stuck to the walls, and get your body back to healthy. It requires no surgery and requires no medication. It does require you to have social interaction with your friends on a regular basis because it's an emotional concept that needs to be there. Because think about it. When you're nervous, worried, fearful, scared, cholesterol will go up. Guaranteed the opposite of it will lower your cholesterol. So that's one. Two, you go for a walk once a day for 30 minutes. Three, you eat a lot of vegetables. Doesn't mean a vegetarian diet is healthier for you. You should still eat meat. That's my opinion. I tend to be a little controversial, but I think you should eat meat and you should eat everything else, but you should eat a lot of vegetables. The reason some people say vegetarianism is healthy is because they eat a lot of vegetables.
Yes.
It's not because they don't eat meat. Meat's healthy too.
But grass-fed beef.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the beef with all the
hormones and antibiotics.
Yes, if you can find the grass-fed beef, eat that one.
That's right. Absolutely.
So a hamburger won't hurt you if it's grass-fed.
Yes. Now, yes, to a degree. You know, it has to do with the condiments you put on top of it. It has to do with the bread and the type of gluten that's in that bread. Do you know that gluten in Europe is not as harmful as gluten in the United States?
Really?
That may be another talk for another day. But,
okay.
But yeah, so yes, to a degree, absolutely. You know, you can get your burgers wrapped in lettuce, and it's very tasty and it's healthier for you.
I had a relative who had he had a bypass, and the first thing he wanted after his bypass was a hamburger. And I thought the worst you can have after a bypass is a hamburger. But if it's a grass-fed hamburger, maybe that would be good for his cholesterol.
It may not be so bad. Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is there's a whole lot more that we need to research and learn about, and I recommend you guys do your own research. But the question becomes, how important is this discussion? How much eternal significance does this discussion have? You know, whether we have high cholesterol, low cholesterol, where's our soul headed and where's that going?
Jesus said, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and yet loses his own soul? So what we care more about than the cholesterol in your body is your soul, the soul condition of your soul.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Jesus wants us to have a happy soul, you know?
Yes.
A happy soul is good medicine for the soul.
Unbelievably, yes. Absolutely. And lowers cholesterol, guaranteed. So turn to Jesus because that's the medicine you need. Stay on Jesus. Take it all day and all night. You can't overdose on it. There's no side effects. You'll be happy. Cholesterol will go down. So will heart disease and obesity. I think that settles the issue.
That does settle it.